Hey guys, it's Clay, CPAP My Way, CPAPmyway.com. Today I'm here to give you guys a fresh look on the ResMed AirMini Travel CPAP. In this video, I'm going to go over setup of the AirMini, how to get it connected and how to use it. I'm going to demonstrate it so you guys can see it running. Then I'm going to go over the maintenance, features, size, dimensions, weight. Then we'll run through my pros and cons and final review on the product itself so you can get an idea of how I have seen it best fit customers out there and who it may or may not work for. All right, so as always, we really appreciate it if you would hit us with that thumbs up. If you enjoyed the content, avoid those thumbs downs. That's not very nice. Subscribe for more content because we like to keep videos like this coming out. If you find it helpful, we're gonna keep them coming. Subscribe and you'll get all of our content coming to you. And then if you have any experience with the AirMini, throw us a comment. Tell us what you liked or didn't like about it, or especially if you've had any interaction with any of the accessories and other things that I'm going to discuss in this video. It will be really helpful to the others that are watching and reading through the comments. So thanks. All right, so first off, what comes with your AirMini? Obviously your AirMini. This is the travel CPAP. It additionally will come with a power cord, which I took the liberty of unboxing for you, and this little travel bag. You will also need to select either an AirMini mask or the AirMini adapter, which I'm going to explain a little bit more thoroughly later on. And so that would be a separate or add-on purchase with the AirMini device itself. It doesn't come with tubing or mask. It will just be the AirMini Travel CPAP, power cord, and travel bag along with your user manual to start off. All right, as far as first impressions, the first thing you'll notice is it is extremely small. And then for the sake of comparing it to something relevant, this is the smallest home CPAP, which is the AirSense 11. You can see there is a massive difference in size. So if you are going to be traveling, carrying this versus carrying this is definitely a no-brainer if it's something that you can swing. All right, so let's now jump into how you're going to connect your AirMini Travel CPAP. The first thing you're going to connect, obviously, will be your power supply. It does have this converter brick, which is good for overseas travel as long as you have the little adapter. It'll go between 100 and 240 volts, so pretty much anywhere you go in the world you can use that as long as you have the appropriate plug-in adapter. And then you'll see that you've got a little power port right there. It is very unique, and it is the same setup as the AirSense 11, which is kind of nice as far as it goes for adapters. I'll show you. I think they may have a little bit different voltage or something, so I don't think you could use this particular power cord with the AirSense 11 or vice versa. But as far as the adapters for like battery, it's the same plug, which makes it really, really nice. Once you plug it in, you'll notice the little green light comes on. I've already got it connected to the app, which I'll show you in a little more detail here in a second. So you'll see my Bluetooth light is on as well, which is a really nice little feature I'll expand on. But as far as setting up your device, I want to demonstrate for you the P10. As I had mentioned earlier, it's only going to come with your device, your power cord, and your travel bag in addition to the manual. When you select your mask, which I'll go through all those options more thoroughly later, you will have the mask and the tubing as well as HMEs if that applies to your mask. Those are Humidex HMEs, and then of course a user manual in there as well. For this demonstration, I'm demonstrating the AirFit P10, which is probably the most popular option for the AirMini. Very unique tubing, right? This is designed to work with the AirMini. You'll notice it's got that very special connection point, which has two little slits. You'll notice that those two little slits match up with the two little notches, and all you have to do is put that in place and slide it right on, just like that, and it will clip right into place. Now you'll see you got your power cord and your tube connected to the AirMini. As far as setting up the AirMini, you're good to go just right there. When we connect our mask, you'll notice we've got a very unique connector here as well. There is a big open spot right there, and that is actually designed for your Humidex HME. This is so that you don't have to use distilled water on the road, right? So home CPAP like this AirSense 11 here has a built-in heated humidifier. You don't really want to deal with that on the road because it takes up so much space and it's a little bit frustrating to deal with on the road. That is why we have these little Humidex HMEs. The blue one is the standard. The gray one is the plus. So if you really have trouble with dryness, you'd want to use the plus. If you don't really experience much of that, just go with the standard HME. They're like a little round disc, and the colored portion of the disc goes into the tube first, right? There's no locking or anything like that. It just kind of snaps into place. You'll feel it kind of clip in there, and it holds itself in pretty well. The next thing you would do, connection-wise, is connect your mask. It goes on there, and that actually does have to twist to lock in place. So put it on, click it to the right. Now you are fully set up and ready to rock and roll with your AirMini Travel CPAP with the P10. I'm going to go over the rest of the masks, which you'll see behind me here a little later in the video, so you can understand your mask options, including a little bit of a hack if you don't like any of these masks. So stay tuned on that part. All right, now before I try this mask on and we go through the sound and everything, I just wanted to give you a little rundown of exactly how the Bluetooth feature works, right? So I just plugged this thing. I linked it previously so you guys wouldn't have to bear through that, but we'll do a little video of how to link it as well if I don't already have that out there. You'll notice I didn't use it last night, but it would give you a really cool little AirMini score. The other thing you'll want to know about in the app is you do have the ability to change some lower level settings. It has nice little user guides, things that'll help you, especially getting started with the AirMini, but also allow you to customize as you move forward in patient level settings. All right, then also before we fire it up, I just want to show you a real quick overview on maintenance. Maintenance for the mask and tubing is the same as a home unit. Wash it once a week, make sure you keep it clean. Nose pillows and cushions, clean it daily. These little Humidex HMEs are good for 30 days of use. And there is one little filter in the filter housing here of the AirMini. It can be, I'm just gonna disconnect this real quick so you can see it. The filter is behind a little ventilated door right there. And I know that I'm holding it kind of funny, but this is genuinely the way I would recommend doing it. If you hold it like this, put a thumb on each side of a little itty bitty arrow that's on there and just press down and over. It'll help you take this little door off. This can be a little tricky to get on and off, but once you get it off, you'll expose a little disposable filter. Check that once a week, and as soon as you see any kind of discoloration or collecting dust, throw it away, put a new one on. They're not expensive. So when you're washing the mask and tubing, check your filter. So a once a week maintenance, no big deal. As far as the functionalities of this machine, it is very similar to a home unit, minus that heated humidifier. It has auto ramp. It has EPR. It has a very similar algorithm to your auto CPAP at home. And then as far as dimensions go, it's only 0.66 pounds, so well under a pound. And dimensionally, it is 5.4 by 3.3 by 2 inches. So it doesn't take up much space at all. And now that I got the, you can see my iPhone Max is considerably bigger than the AirMini. So it really is very small. If you can fit your iPhone Max in your pocket, which I will admit sometimes is a bit of a difficulty for me, but if you can fit that in your pocket, you can fit the AirMini in your pocket. It really is super, super small. It is also a very quiet travel CPAP. So as far as the comparable travel CPAPs that are out there, and we have a video, I'll link in the description as well, that goes over each individual travel CPAP and a decibel meter beside each of them. We score all of them as far as quiet level. This one is the quietest in our comparison video. All right, so let me try on this AirFit P10 with the AirMini so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Hopefully my mic is close enough that you can get a real world application of that. And then we'll show you on the decibel meter here with things kind of quiet. So you're gonna notice that this is a little bit different than your home AirFit P10 and that it has this little Humidex here. The Humidex has to be kind of close to your exhalation because it's relying on your exhaled humidity to catch and then allow you to rebreathe, keeping you from getting dried out. So that's why you've got that there. Not a major difference as far as fitting the P10, but you do have that little unique difference here. So put it in our nose, pull the straps over just like normal, sits just like that. And just to be cute, we're gonna use the app to fire up our AirMini. So I pressed the on button of the app, and it connected to the AirMini, fired it up. It is running right now at a setting of 5. I've got this unit set between 5 and 15 auto pressure, so. I want it noted that I did read your guys' comments. I got the decibel meter at the mask and at the machine, so you guys don't have to yell at me in this one. I will admit that the noise comes more, and I don't know what you saw at the decibel meter there, but there is more noise from the exhalation through this Humidex than there is from the machine itself. The majority of the noise is kind of right here near your face. It's not much, and I hope you can tell in the video, it is pretty darn quiet. I'm wearing it right now. Obviously the machine's running. It's all the way up to 8 centimeters of pressure now. So it's not like it's running at the most minimal. So it's quiet in my opinion. We're up to almost 9 now. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off with the app here. Obviously it does have the auto on feature, so you really wouldn't even have to probably bring this up. You just put the mask on and start breathing and the machine will kick itself on. But hopefully you get an idea of what it sounds like there, what it looks like set up, and you'll have an understanding of how it might suit your needs if you got a mask like this. So next up, I'm gonna jump into the types of masks that work with the AirMini, as well as a little bit of a hack. If you don't like or use any of those masks, we can still get you on the AirMini. You just have to use a very particular little product that'll make things a little more useful for you. All right, so the AirMini is awesome, but ResMed has designed it to work with one of 5 specific masks. You have the N20, which can be the AirFit, like this silicone here, or AirTouch, which would be the memory foam. You've got the F20, which can be AirTouch or AirFit, depending on if you want silicone or memory foam. Then you've got the F30, the N30, and the P10, as we demonstrated in the video. Obviously, with this particular section of masks, you're probably gonna be able to find something that works well for you, because these are good masks, and it encompasses all aspects that are available as far as minimal contact or nasal pillows or traditional full or traditional nasal. But there are limitations, obviously. You gotta pick one of these 5 if you're gonna use the ResMed style adapters and ResMed HMEs. I'll also point out while I've got it here that there isn't an HME option for the F30. So if dryness is a real issue for you, the F30 may not be the right choice. You probably wanna go with the F20, where you actually can put in the Humidex HME with the AirMini. But let's say, hey Clay, I've been watching your videos and you told me the F40 is awesome, right? And the F40 is awesome, but it doesn't connect to the AirMini. So maybe you've got an AirMini, you watch some of my videos and you're like, man, this F40 is really cool, and you started using the F40. Then you realize you can't use the F40 with the AirMini. We've got an option for you. There is a little device now. It's an off-brand, so it's not a ResMed product, but it allows you to use masks like the F40 with the AirMini. This is a little universal adapter that plugs into the AirMini. It's got those same unique little slots that allow you to connect it right on there. And now you've got a 22mm connection. And you can plug on a slim tube like your ResMed Slimline tube right there. And then you've got a universal connection on the end. And you've got a standard tube connection. And now you can plug right up to your F40, right? And use your F40 with your AirMini. We do have these, and they'll be linked in the description and all that good stuff. In this scenario, you would have to use an off-brand HME. And so that would go in between the tube and the mask. I'm gonna point out something real obvious here though. On this F40 or a mask like the P10, you've got this long extension stretch tube here. That's really going to reduce the ability of this HME to collect your exhaled humidity and to keep you from drying out. I have heard people say it works okay. I've also heard people tell me it doesn't work at all in this particular fashion. If you have a mask that's more like the F20 or the F30, it's a little closer to your exhalation, and it makes a little more sense as far as using the HME in this fashion. So if you're using an HME, just keep that in mind. You'd probably have to try it before you'd know, but it does have a universal connection in this particular scenario, which will allow you to connect any other ResMed mask or any mask on the market for that matter to your AirMini, and it gives you a little more freedom if you're going to use the AirMini to use whatever mask you're already using. Okay, one big thing that people get concerned about with travel CPAPs, especially if you camp or fly on long overnight flights, maybe overseas, is how would I power this thing when I don't have a plug and electricity? That is where we want to introduce to you this really cool battery here. It's a universal battery for almost all major CPAP brands, but it fits the AirMini extremely well. It comes with this little adapter here that will work with your AirSense 10, AirSense 11, and AirMini all with one adapter, and it plugs in just like the home plug does right there on the top, which will allow you to plug in your tubing and operate it just the same. This battery, you can see, is not very large. The battery is nice and small, and it'll get you like 3+ nights on your AirMini. We've had some people report that they've got 4 nights between charges just on this one battery with one charge. Additionally, a really cool thing about this is, let's say you're just at home, the power went out from a hurricane. We live in Florida, that's our reference here. You can plug in your AirSense 11, and this thing works as a backup power. So you could have this thing plugged in nightstand every night before you're traveling, and it'll work as a backup power in case your power goes out for your AirSense 11. Battery kicks on, your AirSense 11 works just fine. And then you're going camping with the kids for the weekend, take it with you, and you've got power on the go. All right, so let's run through my quick hits on the pros and cons and my overall view of the AirMini. First and foremost, it is one of the smallest available at 0.66 pounds and smaller than my iPhone Max. This thing is definitely going to slip into your carry-on very easily, and you're probably not even going to notice it like you would an extra bag with the home CPAP. It's awesome for camping, off-the-grid use. It's really good if you're going to use it on an airline. And if you're the kind of person that travels frequently for business or for pleasure, this thing is definitely going to make a massive improvement on what it takes for you to get on the road. Another really big pro about this is that it has the same motor as the AirSense 11, right? The AirSense 11's lifespan is designed to be about 5 years of everyday use. So that makes this travel CPAP something that actually could be used as an everyday CPAP. I'm not saying that is the way it would work for everybody. You know, not having a heated humidifier at home and some of the other intricacies of a cell modem and things make the home unit really, really nice. But the durability of this, it is capable of being your primary CPAP. So if you're using it as your travel CPAP, this thing probably will last darn near forever, maybe the only travel CPAP you ever buy. Obviously, as with most travel CPAPs, it's nice not to have to carry water with you. That's a big pro. And as I demonstrated earlier, the app is really clean and easy to use, very similar to the My Air app if you're already accustomed to using that at home on your AirSense 10 or AirSense 11. And lastly, it's really simple maintenance. You got your filter to check, and then you're obviously gonna have to clean and maintain your tubing and your mask, just like you would with your home CPAP. And then as far as wiping this down, really just a damp cloth, no chemicals, don't submerge it for sure. And it has a 2-year warranty, just like the home CPAP. So its expected durability is the same, in my opinion, as the home CPAPs, even if you were using it every single day. All right, as far as downsides go, it is only designed to work with one of those 5 styles of ResMed masks that I showed you. So even if you're using another ResMed mask that's outside of those 5, it won't connect with an AirMini connection. But what has changed since my last video is that new universal adapter makes this thing extremely useful now with other masks. All you gotta do is plug on that adapter, hook up a slimline tube, and you're off to the races using whatever mask you already love. Another downside that I really have issue with is this filter housing. I showed you specifically how I recommend taking it off, but when these things are brand new, I struggle getting them off. After you've changed it 2 or 3 times, rest assured it does get easier. But sometimes this little filter housing can be pretty sticky, and I have cracked a couple of them from time to time trying to press them and get them off. So just be gentle, press on the sides like I showed you, down and out, and it'll pop this off, exposing the filter. After you do it a few times, it gets much, much easier. I guess you kind of break it in, to be honest, but that is one thing I've noticed about this machine that is a little bit not so user-friendly. One other thing that some people find as a downside is there's no screen or buttons to have any controls over the device on the device. You have to use the app, which I did demonstrate. You can turn it on and off, and you can change settings within the app. I find that to be just fine user-friendly wise, because most people are accustomed to, you know, connecting an app via Bluetooth. If you're not a tech-savvy person, keep that in mind, but there really isn't much you should have to do. It has an on and off button, and outside of that, once you've got your settings in there, there's not a whole lot to change. Another thing that I want to point out that kind of bothers me about this one and others, if you look at our travel CPAP comparison, I expand on this, but when the cord and the tube are coming out of the same place, it's just a lot in one spot. I can't decide whether the machine should be turned towards the power outlet or should be turned towards the person, because you've got, you know, things going in 2 different directions. So I really wish they'd have just put the power supply on the opposite side of the tube. And 2 last things that I'll point out to you as considerations. I really don't understand why they couldn't have just used the My Air app like they have for the AirSense 10 and the AirSense 11 with the AirMini. I guess there's probably some sort of very clinical tech explanation for that. Probably something that's above my pay grade, but you do have to use a separate app for this. And for people that have to have compliance reporting, we have to pull 2 separate compliance reports, one from their home unit and one from their travel CPAP, and then send them both to the customer so that they can kind of marry them up for you know, following up with a doctor, especially if you're a DOT or having to follow up with the FAA. We've had that little issue. It's not a big deal, but it is something that's a little bit uncomfortable. And the final thing is that it is the most expensive one on the market. So I think honestly you're getting what you pay for, but if price point is the sticking point for you, this may not be the option for you. All right, so to close it out on the AirMini, a lot of things have changed, in my opinion, to make this more suitable for more people. It is, frankly, our #1 selling travel CPAP right now by far, especially since that universal adapter was released. It's not a ResMed product, I'll be honest, but it is working well for people, and people are able to use the AirMini in conjunction with the mask they already love, which may be a different brand or a different model of ResMed mask. Like I said earlier, the F40 isn't even an adaptable mask for the AirMini right now, but with that universal adapter, you can use the F40 with the AirMini. So that, in addition to accessories like that travel CPAP battery I demonstrated, have made this particular model a really hard yes for me for most people. It is a really good travel CPAP, quality, durability, as well as now all the functionalities. The limitations of the past are no longer relevant. The AirMini is a top choice for travel CPAP, and I think you should certainly consider it if you're in the market for a travel CPAP. Again, I really appreciate you with the thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe for more content like this. If you have any experience, good, bad, or indifferent, with the AirMini or the accessories, please throw them in the comments. It not only helps us as a channel, but it really helps the other people that are watching this video to determine whether or not it might be useful for them in their life. So, thank you for watching, and as always, tune back in for the next video.